Hello and welcome to Minimise Debt, Maximise Cash with Top Service, where each episode we will give you tips on how to maximise your cash and minimise your debt in the construction industry. My name is Emma Reilly, Top Service CEO, and recently awarded the Credit Professional of the Year 2025 at the British Credit Awards. Thank you very much. In today's episode, we present a discussion between Philip King and Rachel Simmons. This was shortly after Phil had come on board as a non-executive director for Top Service. This interview includes his first impression of Top Service and what he thinks we can offer to the industry. Please enjoy, and details on how to contact us will be at the end of the episode.
So I'm here with Phil, who recently got to spend some time with our member support team. Phil, after spending the morning with us, what really stood out the most to you?
Several things, really. The team's knowledge of the numerous sources of information and verification that are available to them. Sweeping the courts for information following a member's report, the gazettes, registry trust, payment experience data, company's house, for example, recognising trends in payment behaviour, either good or bad, spotting unusual directorship changes that might send a signal that's worth exploring, and the fact that the insight of the team in those scenarios is so much more value than simply using algorithmic approaches and data. The level of training to keep people up to speed, 12 weeks before even people start being active with the team, constant refreshing and upskilling so they're always up to speed and always where they need to be. The relationship you have with members, I found quite staggering, to be honest. We were chatting in the morning. You said, "I need to talk to a member about this, so I'll ring him up and ask him." And I thought, middle of the morning, he's probably going to be busy. But actually, he welcomed the call. He was willing to share information and was more than comfortable talking to you. And it was a really valuable call and got you some really useful insight for another member. So I think the fact that members are willing to share with you in that way shows the strength of relationship and depth of relationship that they've got with you. The disciplined approach to logging everything, keeping the team up to date with real-time information, which effectively is what payment experiences are. They're what's happening yesterday and today, not 6 months ago. But using colour categories to make it simpler for people to find information, using external and internal information to strengthen the knowledge and the effectiveness of the whole Top Service team is invaluable. And your commitment to members being happy. I remember listening to a call that Lorraine made to somebody who was a fairly new member, saying, you've used these services, but are you aware there are more you could use? And can I show you how to use them? That level of commitment to making sure that members are getting value from their membership is mind-blowing.
What was your experience with us like?
To be honest, it blew me away. It almost feels like it shouldn't work, but it does, and it works incredibly well. The team's providing a sort of service as a credit reporting agency, but so much more. It's a combination of standard report, plus payment experiences, plus information picked up from members and the knowledge of your team, and it's incredible.
How important do you feel that the team's depth of knowledge and experience is to our members?
The importance can't be overstated, Rachel. The team are effectively an extension for the members' own credit management expertise, and especially for small businesses, that's invaluable. They have to be up to date. They have to be well versed in what members might need to know, whatever that is. The 12-week training prior to being involved and the refreshing and updating demonstrates how important that is to Top Service and to the team members themselves, who need the confidence to be able to deliver the service you want to provide. It enables them to go over and above what's ordinarily available to a contractor that's got little credit management expertise, and it enables them to suggest solutions not thought of. We heard a call where someone wanted reassurance that a potentially good risk was indeed good, and when your team looked at it, they realised that there was a strong fraud potential here, and the member hadn't even thought about fraud. They just thought that the customer looked good. but your team spotted the underlying risk inherent in what they were seeing, and it, perhaps too good to be true, and they spotted that. Their detailed knowledge about procedures and background make them a dynamic library. For example, insolvency, company structures, legal proceedings, credit management systems, construction terminology, company law, contract law, all of these things combine to enable them to provide a quality, reliable and trusted resource.
How do you feel that top service trade and experiences differ to sort of standard payment data that's available?
Oh, they're completely different. Let's compare the two. The standard payment reference data that's available is generic. It's limited to the agency's clients that are willing to share, and it's sort of uploaded to the system without context. So, for example, there's no guarantee that a debt that appears just to be really late paid isn't subject to a dispute, for example, because someone hasn't flagged it as a dispute. There's no explanation about it. It's just there. It's generic. There's no way of knowing whether it's a builder's merchant or a cleaner or a catering supplier. So you don't get that level of detail. Whereas the top service payment data is very specific with narrative on the actual experience that's been going through. It's day to day, so it's up to date. It could be this, and I was looking with you at some stuff when we were together, and some of the experiences were this morning's experience. To be that up to date is quite powerful. Members give and receive information, and they do that because they use it and they recognise its strength and want to share it backwards too. It's positive and it's negative. And that's also true of generic data, but it's positive and negative from a sense of that particular business paying well over a period of time. So it's not just this transaction repeated, it's actually this trend of experience with the customer. It's as up to date as it's possible to be. As I said, it's this morning. And probably most important of all, it's completely construction centric. So all the experiences I'm looking at as a member are in my sector, and all the experiences I'm sharing are within my sector. So I know that if I'm looking at a customer that is paying in a deteriorating way, that's a customer in my space, and I need to take into account what that means for me if I'm already dealing or I'm going to deal. So it's just so much more powerful and so much more dynamic.
Having sort of had a glimpse at what goes on behind the scenes with the member support team, what would you say to somebody that asked you, well, what's the benefits of using them?
There are numerous benefits, but it's most simplistic. It's support at the end of the phone or email to answer questions or provide information, and that of itself is useful. It's access to multiple sources of data, some of which are internal to top service and some of which are external. For example, which members of search a subject business on your website, company's house data, court records data, payment experiences, and so on. But it's not just information. It's providing credit management expertise and knowledge. And often your members are small businesses without a lot of specialist credit management, expertise. And so your team is providing that missing expertise and knowledge and supporting them and acting as a backstop for them when they need more detailed information. So, I heard a call where someone sort of rang up with something and said, this is the situation, what are my options? And the team has got the expertise and the background to say, here are the options, decide what you want to do. It's not just a credit reference agency. It's not just a advisory credit limit, but it's dynamic credit information. So that changes with information that's real time based on payment experiences. So it's not what is the credit limit and what has it been for the last 6 months? It's what's the credit limit now and why is it what it is now? Giving you so much more than just a traditional credit reference report and so on. And a potential member looking at this needs to understand they're not getting access just to your team, but to the experiences of your 3,000 plus members. So those members are recording experiences that are happening this morning and what they're seeing going on with that customer. And a member can see that information and understand it and use it. And if they don't understand it, they can ring you and you can help them use it better. So it's giving them a real-time understanding of what the world's like in relation to that customer. And it's data and information from across the top service portfolio of products and services. So, your team is sort of providing the background data and so on, but you're using information provided by the collections activity, for example. So a member can find out, what the current status of a debt currently being pursued is, or can find out information gleaned from a recently collected debt. And that can influence your thinking in terms of, is a debt, collected the day after it's referred, or is it taken 6 months to get nowhere? If it's the former, then maybe it was just a glitch, maybe it was just someone being a bit pedantic. If it's the latter, then it's probably a more terminal problem, so consider that. And it's the team approach to sharing experience. You're delivering a solution that is much greater than the sum of its parts because of the way the team members interact, learn from each other, and share a commitment to positive outcomes for your members.
And finally, Phil, what 3 words would you use to describe the member support team?
Determined to provide the best possible service to your members, and that's really important in the minds of the team. Thorough, because they have such a knowledge of what's available and where to look and the depth to which they go to find information. And skilled, because the 12 weeks training, the constant updating, upskilling is there to make sure that they are as skilled as they can possibly be.
Hello, Emma here again. Thank you for listening. If there are any other questions, please do contact us on LinkedIn. Just search Top Service Limited. And also do check out a video version of this podcast on our YouTube channel. Once again, search for Top Service Limited. If we don't see you online, we will see you in the next episode where we will help you to maximise your cash and minimise your debt. Bye bye from Top Service.